Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to SermonLink. Glad you're here. I'm Pastor Larry Brown, and this is a ministry of Powell United Methodist Church. It's good to be together as we connect on our SermonLink this week. And of course, as you can see, we're going to be here in the Gospel of Matthew in chapter 22. So let me come right to the reading. This is one of the parables that Jesus told. This is a way that Jesus taught when he wanted to communicate some deeper truth about God's reality. In fact, he referred to it as the kingdom of God or the kingdom of heaven, and we'll see that that's exactly what this parable is about. So let's get to the reading, hear it, and then we'll think about it together. Once more, Jesus spoke to them in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his slaves to call those who had been invited to the wedding banquet, but they would not come. Again, he sent other slaves, saying, 'Tell those who have been invited, look, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.' But they made light of it and went away, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his slaves, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his troops, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. And then he said to his slaves, 'The wedding is ready, but those invited are not worthy. Go therefore into the main streets and invite everyone you find to the wedding banquet.' So those slaves went out into the streets and gathered all whom they found, both good and bad. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing a wedding robe, and he said to him, 'Friend, how did you get in here without a wedding robe?' And he was speechless. And then the king said to the attendants, 'Well, bind him hand and foot and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" So we'll end there with the story and the parable. Now, there's many aspects to this story. In fact, one of the classic or traditional ways of interpreting a parable like this is by way of allegory, it's called, where the characters or elements of the story are assigned to certain realities at the time of Jesus. For instance, the king would represent God, and the son would represent Jesus, and the wedding banquet would represent the good news of the gospel, and the guests that did not come would be represented by the Jews on one hand, or the Gentiles on the other, those who heard the message of Jesus and then rejected it. So that's one particular way. It's called allegory. And it's not a wrong way to interpret the parable. In fact, Matthew does his own interpretation here in chapter 22, and that's the way he sees the parable. But what I'm going to suggest is it's not the only way. In fact, it may not even be the most faithful way of understanding the parable. Let's remember that Jesus told the parables to reveal something true about the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, or the kingdom of heaven, was what Jesus referred to as the God-present influence that wraps around us and that we are immersed in simply by being those who are created and given life by God. So if we think of it in that broader context, it's less important, I think, to ascribe certain characters to aspects of this short drama, and instead look for the deeper message here. And the deeper message, I feel, is the fact that when we think of the reality of God, this God-centered, influencing presence that wraps around us, what Jesus is saying is, let us know that God is in the invitation business. God extends invitations all the time. And I think it's really a daily kind of experience. Every breath that we take really is an opportunity to receive an invitation from God, to experience God, and to live out the reality that's all around us, that we're wrapped in this God presence. The fact of the matter is, just like with any invitation, we can say no. We can RSVP and say, well, can't do it, doesn't fit my schedule. Don't have the time, really not that interested. Good luck with your event. I'm not going to be included. So any invitation waits for the response. And Jesus is saying that's the way it is with God. God doesn't force God's way in. God doesn't manipulate us, trick us to respond or live with God. God waits for our response. And I believe Jesus hopes, in fact, we know this if we look at all of the other teaching of Jesus. Jesus' hope for us is not that we'd say no, of course not. Not even that we'd say maybe, I'll get to it someday or later. No. Jesus would like from us a resounding and deeply committed yes. In the way that the king had everything ready, God continually has everything ready for us to participate fully. And so that's the focus for today and this week. Listen, experience, respond to the invitation of God. It comes not through some mailed invitation or emailed note or any other way, but it comes through the experiences of our lives as we share life with others, as we do our work, as we make decisions about our recreation and free time, as we make our commitments of what we will support or say no to in life. God is a part of all of that. And God's waiting for us, from us, for a resounding yes. Say yes to God today and be blessed by that. Friends, good to be together and with you. I appreciate the chance to connect this week, and we'll have the chance every week to be a part of reflecting together on what God's saying. For now, hey, take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.